In this video, we're going to look at the facilities page. So when you look at the sheet itself, there are a number of sections that need to be completed by us. And again, as in the previous videos, the sections that we have to fill in, we have help that tells us what to do. So we're going to look at this in turn. Okay. So the first thing to bear in mind is the pro and the beast. Okay. So the first is to make use formulas where necessary, creating a list. And the beast is to use absolute cell referencing and AutoSum to calculate the total space required. So what we're going to do, we're going to start up here. So the number of visitors. So it says add the number of visitors to your park per month here using relative. That means relative cell referencing. So when we looked at our choosing the dinosaurs page, we have our number of visitors per month listed here. So we're going to use relative cell referencing to bring that value in. So I'm on my facilities page, so I'm going to type in equals, over to my choosing my dinosaurs, select and press enter. So I have my my values in here. Now this next section says work out the number of visitors that will use your facility. You need to work out the visitor usage percentage of the number of visitors to your park. So what we're calculating is the 8% of this value. Okay, so all we need to do is to multiply this value by 8%. So again, we don't use the actual figures, we use cell references. So we're going to go into equals this value multiplied by this value. Okay, and you can see that that's 6,160. Now here comes the problem. And I hope you understand what the problem is when I do this. If I copy this formula down, okay, I get loads of errors. Why do you think that is? I'm going to give you a minute to think of that. I'll pause the video and have a think as to why you think that that is the case. Well, I'm hoping what you have come up with is the cell referencing, because if we look at this first value, or this first calculation that we've done, we're not multiplying C4 by E7. So C4 is here, okay, E7 is here. This next one is multiplying C5 by E8. So E8 is here, which is right, that's what we want. C5 is between there, so it's not actually looking at this value in C4. This next one is looking at C6 and E9, so this one's looking at here and here. Okay, so there are two fixes to this. We either need to do the formula repeatedly, so I would have to go equals that times the visitor percentage, like that, and we'll do that all the way down, or I can change my original formula. So if I come up to my original formula, okay, you can see that I've got my C4. If I highlight my C4 and I press the F4 key, remember that's making it absolute. What that means is that when I copy the formula down, this section, the E7 part, will increment. So the next one will be E8, E9, E10. Whereas the one that's got the dollar symbols in front of it will always look at that one cell, that's C4. So if I press enter, nothing changes there. But now when I copy my formula down, I get the correct answers. Okay. Let's have a look at the number of buildings. What we've got to do here, this can be done by simply adding a raw number or adding a drop down list with numbers 0 to 10. So let's look at the list. As a matter of fact, I'm going to get you to do the list because you have created lists before, and all you need to do in the source of the list is to separate the numbers 1 to 10 with commas, and that will create the drop down list for you. So I'm going to give you pause the video while you create the drop down lists. I'll create them on my spreadsheet and then we'll resume. So I've created my drop down lists. I'm just going to allocate one building at the moment to each of my different facilities. So I'm just dropping the list down and adding one to each of my facilities on my spreadsheet. Okay. So my total building cost, multiply the building cost per unit by the number required. So the building cost per unit is in column D. Okay, so we're looking at this column, and the buildings, the number of buildings, is what we've got in the drop-down list here. So simple case of another multiplication formula equals the number of buildings multiplied by the building cost. Okay, and again we can copy that down. And again, the beauty is that if I change this value to 6, for example, you can see it automatically increases my my cost for buildings. Okay. Right, my total income per month. Calculate the total profit by multiplying the number of users by the average sales per person by the number of buildings. So we've got 3 elements of this calculation. We have the number of users, okay, which is here. We have the average sales per person, which is there, and we have the number of buildings, which is there. Okay, so this is going to be again another multiplication formula, only it's going to be using 3 values, not 2. So we're looking for number of users, average sale per users, and the number of buildings. So equals number of users times the average sales per person times the number of buildings. Okay, so we've got 3 things that we are including in that calculation. And again, we can copy this formula down. Okay. This next row is asking us to use auto sum to calculate the cost of the total number of buildings, the total cost of the buildings, and the total profit. Okay, so again, I'm going to show you another way in which you can do this. If I click on the home menu, okay, and I click the auto sum button at the top. Okay, so I'm looking up here on the spreadsheet. You can see that it automatically selects the cells for me, and I just press enter. So that is another way to do it. I've got a bit of an issue with the formatting there, so I'll sort that out in a minute. So let's do the next one. Auto sum, enter. Okay, auto sum, enter. So let's sort out this this problem. So if we look up here, I've got my formatting for my numbers. So I can either do it this way, or I can right click as we've done previously, format cells. Okay, we can see it's 5 decimal places. We don't want 5 decimal places. We want 0 decimal places, and click OK. There we go. So the last thing that we have to calculate on this sheet is the total annual income. So we're going to multiply the total profit per month by 12. So that's a reasonably straightforward function. So we're going to go equals my income per month multiplied by 12. And there's my my total annual income. So again, with this sheet, there's a number of things that we can do. We can investigate what happens if we change the number of buildings. So say, for example, I wanted an extra dino diner where I have a dinosaur themed food and drink. So say, for example, I wanted 2 of those. If I change that to 2, I can investigate what that does to the total income for each month and for my overall income. Okay, so you can see that by building another dino diner, I can increase my profits by about 3 million. Okay, so I take that back to 1, and I see if what would happen if I did that one. That's going to be about 2 million. Let's try a different one, a random one. Let's see, building costs. Let's see if I built another photo booth, 8 million. Okay, what if I built another Dino King, 9 million. So you can see I can investigate and play about with the numbers to see what impact the number of buildings I build has on my total income per month. So that concludes the facilities page.